Coming up on Valley News Live at 10, neighbors speak out after the latest shooting in West Fargo involving a child.
Local restaurants making some unique decisions as Fargo's mask mandate expires.
Plus, new guidance for people who have received the COVID vaccine. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
2 children shot in West Fargo within miles of each other, one Sunday night, one last night, and police say they were both unintentional targets.
Last night's incident included an order for some parents to shelter in place for more than 2 hours, with more information from police, no information rather, as to why.
Just because, most of the people that were working on the case were working late into the evening and into the early morning hours, so it took a while for our staff to get back in and kind of put everything together and get all the necessary pieces of the puzzle kind of put together. So
today we learned that 19-year-old C.J. Carruthers and a 17-year-old male were arrested in relation to Monday's shooting on charges of reckless endangerment with a firearm, robbery, and firing a gun within city limits.
And the search continues tonight for the owner or driver of this dark-colored vehicle in regard to that shooting. It is described as a Chevy Malibu with North Dakota license plates. If you have any information, call West Fargo Police.
Now, neighbors where the shooting took place tell us this area is a hot spot for police activity. And they're not wrong.
Valley News Team's Aaron Walling did some digging. He joins us live now from the scene with more. Aaron?
Thanks, Andrea. I'm here at 900 Parkway Drive, where there have been 19 calls made to the police since last June. Now, earlier this month, West Fargo PD responded to another call involving a firearm. Neighbors tell me that this was the same house involved in last night's shooting. The people we spoke with say that this house is trouble.
So then I grabbed the family, shut the garage door, and we kind of hung out in the house. Wasn't sure what was going on. My neighbor texted me and said, "You guys safe? Are you in the house and everything?" I said, "I am," and she shared with me what was going on. And then we just we just stayed in the house and kept the family close and just trying to pay attention. Checked on you guys quite a bit to see what the story was there.
So last night I was at work and I got a call from one of my friends, and he was like, "Where are your kids?" And I got worried. I was like, at home. And he's like, "Well, make sure there's a shelter in place. There were gunshots fired in your neighborhood." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I panicked and I called my son right away and I was like, "Where are you at? Are you guys inside? Are you guys safe?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Lock the doors and stay inside."
Now, I also spoke with the owner of this property who is currently renting it out. And she says that she was made aware last year of an incident that took place at this location, but was not aware of the other calls that have been made out here until West Fargo PD told her this morning. She also has not had any contact with the current tenant since last Wednesday. And also earlier tonight when we got here, there was a black vehicle parked in the driveway and an officer arrived and took a picture of it. But that's all for right now. Live in West Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And if you want to report a problem in your neighborhood, call our whistleblower hotline, 237-6576, and leave your tip. Our whistleblower hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Fargo police are looking for a man they say stabbed someone and ran over him with a car. 30-year-old Pajebo Duncan of West Fargo is a suspect in an aggravated assault that happened last night at the Love's Travel Stop off of 32nd Avenue. He's described as being about 5 feet 7 inches tall. He weighs about 140 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. Now, if you know where he is, you are asked to call 911 or text your tip to 847-411. A judge has ordered a mental health exam for the Minnesota man accused of opening fire at a health clinic in Buffalo, Minnesota last month, killing 1 staff member and injuring 4 others. The exam, which could take 2 months, will help determine if 67-year-old Gregory Ulrich is mentally competent to help with his own defense. He's charged with murder, attempted murder, and other counts. He's also accused of setting off several pipe bombs at that clinic. Authorities show that he threatened at the mass shooting at the clinic back in 2018.
Fargo restaurants are getting creative now that the citywide mask mandate is no more. As Valley News Team's Nishay Taylor reports, it's up to them to decide whether to require guests and staff to wear face coverings.
Face coverings are no longer required to be worn in the city of Fargo, and now local restaurants have to make their own decisions.
We still have all of our staff wearing them, and we're asking guests to wear them as well.
The assistant manager at the Tavern Grill says keeping their policy in place is the best move to make right now.
We just want to maximize the safety for our guests and not take any risks. So for us, it's just the safest way to continue with what we're doing.
Across the road at Mexican Village, staff left their decision to their customers.
We did a poll. We asked our customers because in the end, they're the ones that matter.
The poll is to determine whether or not customers prefer staff to wear masks.
A lot of people tell us that they feel it takes away from the personal experience of their servers because you can't see if they're smiling underneath the mask. You can't. It just takes away from the whole personal connection that they have, and that was one of our biggest things that we found with them.
Mexican Village is continuing the poll for the next 2 weeks, and if it is decided that face coverings for staff should not be required, the general manager says they plan to keep a section in the restaurant for mask wearing to let their customers make their own choice. I am Nashay Taylor for Valley News Live.
The CDC is easing its guidelines for people who are fully vaccinated. Fully vaccinated people can now visit people who have not gotten the vaccine without restrictions, but they suggest the visits be limited to one unvaccinated household at a time. The CDC advises people to still wear a mask if the unvaccinated family or friend is older, pregnant, or at an increased risk of severe illness. The guidance comes as new poll shows Americans are going out as more people receive the vaccine. Johnson & Johnson will likely fall short of its goal to have 20 million COVID vaccine doses ready this month. A source familiar with the allotment says the company will have about 4 million doses ready to be shipped this week. That's also far short of the 37 million doses initially laid out in its federal contract. Johnson & Johnson has struggled to ramp up production. It's also been slow to submit paperwork to the FDA. Officials say Johnson & Johnson could still issue millions more doses in the days following the March deadline. Following questions about AstraZeneca's COVID vaccine data, the White House says the FDA won't authorize any vaccine unless it's proven safe and effective. Yesterday, AstraZeneca said its vaccine showed 79% efficacy against symptomatic disease and 100% efficacy against severe disease and hospitalization. Later in the day, an independent board that reviews vaccine data said it thinks some of the data included in AstraZeneca's study was outdated. And to stay on top of the latest COVID-19 related information, use our VNL Vaccine Tracker. It's right on our homepage of our website. Or you can open your phone camera and point it to the QR code on your screen. Then tap the link that pops up.
New details have emerged in a mass shooting that left 10 dead in Colorado, an incident that came less than a week after 8 people were fatally shot in Georgia. Danya Backus reports from Los Angeles.
Police have identified the victims of Monday's mass shooting at a Boulder, Colorado supermarket.
Our hearts go out to all the victims killed during this senseless act of violence.
3 were employees of the King Superstore. Another was among the initial first responders at the scene. Officer Eric Talley was an 11-year police veteran and the father of 7 children.
We can never thank Officer Talley or his family enough for their sacrifice, but we will not forget it.
Investigators also announced the name of the alleged gunman.
This suspect has been identified as Ahmad Alyssa, 21 of Arvada. He has been charged with 10 counts of murder in the first degree.
According to court documents, the 21-year-old bought an AR-556 pistol 6 days before the shootings. President Biden called on Congress to ban assault weapons and large-capacity magazines.
There was law for the longest time, and it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again.
The federal assault weapons ban expired in September 2004 after being on the books for a decade. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Police have not suggested a motive for the Boulder shootings. The suspect's relatives are said to have told investigators they believed he suffered from some kind of mental illness.
The Biden administration is extending the enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act. The new deadline for special enrollment has been pushed back to August 15th. The extension will give Americans more time to sign up or change their insurance in light of the increased subsidies from the recently enacted pandemic aid package. The special open enrollment period began February 15th to help people who had lost jobs because of the pandemic get health insurance coverage.
Now's your chance to vent about your slow internet service to someone who might be able to help. The FCC wants to know how slow your internet is. The agency just announced a new outreach initiative on its website to gather consumer broadband experiences. They'll be asking consumers directly for firsthand accounts about availability and disparities in access. It's part of the FCC's effort to improve the accuracy of its broadband maps.
This is just every parent's worst nightmare.
Still ahead tonight on Valley News Live at 10, a Minnesota family shares a warning for others after their son is attacked by a shark in Florida.
But first, the weather team watching some rain and potentially some snow tomorrow. Hutch will break down the details when Valley News Live at 10 continues.